Are you lying awake wondering, what am I going to do when I retire? And you know what? That's a normal fear that many people get. But fear, many times, is a sign that you're about to go through a major transformation.
I mean, if you think about it, you have gone through your whole life building your career, building your network, building your identity, and the day comes and that all kind of fades away. It is a scary time for everybody. So if you're afraid, you're with us.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most unspoken about, the one most untaught, and the most misunderstood transition in your life.
But it's not a feeling that you don't understand, because if you think back through your life, when you were 18 years old trying to make the college decision, you were scared, you were jumping into the unknown, but you did it. And it felt like a positive transition.
Well, what I was going to say is that there's a lot of training and coaching and understanding of these other life transitions, buying your first house, having your first child, getting married, all of that. There's a lot out there. There is not a lot being taught about retirement. And I remember the day that I retired, and it was Friday, December 29th, something like that, whatever the date is.
2018.
2018. And that following Saturday, woke up, it's weekend, we kind of hung out. Monday was the big learning experience for me, the big moment when I woke up and I realized I didn't have my typical morning routine where I get up early, have coffee, get to the office by 7. I got up, had coffee by myself. You got up a little bit later, we had coffee together. I'm like, what are we going to do?
Right. What's
and
next?
I think the biggest thing for me, and it wasn't a fear at the time, but it was reality once I retired, was my work family was finished. It was almost like getting divorced from everyone at work because there was no reason to connect anymore. We connected at work. You always said this, that your work friends are situational. They're your friends because you're working with them.
Right.
Right?
Right. You know, it was different for me because you retired at traditional retirement age.
Right.
Right. So it was kind of like people in your company expected you to retire. You were at the age where our family was like talking about perhaps you're going to retire. You know, I retired early. I retired at 53 years old after having worked for, 33 years for the same company. So it was a little bit different and unsettling for me. So depending on the age that you're opting out, if it's you that are opting out, you will have different emotions. I remember I felt a little bit like there was work left to do. Like I had work left in me that was left to do. Because you have to remember, for 33 years, that's all I knew was the work. And that's the friends that I had was with the work. And, that was the community I built was with the work. Even my philanthropic endeavors were with the work. So it was one of those big transitions for me that just felt like a hatchet came down, and I was still young enough to recognize I still had work left in me, but what did I want to do?
Yeah, I think the big thing here is there is a lot of fear around it, and there's a lot of misunderstanding, and everyone handles it differently. So in a minute, we're going to give you 5 reasons why it's okay to retire right now and make the plunge. The problem that, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, so let's categorize kind of the problems,
okay.
Right? So there's like 3 main problems that you might start to feel, right?
While you're laying awake at night wondering, what am I going to do?
Right. The first one is, in your mind, and this is where I got a little trapped, was, your retirement meant you were irrelevant. So not your job was irrelevant, not your family. It was that you as a human were suddenly irrelevant. And it took a while for me to disassociate my job title, my job work, the teams I led with the human that I am.
Right.
And I'd never done that in like 33 years. It was, especially here in America, people say, oh, hi, what do you do for a living? And It was hard to disassociate. So I would say it took me a good, I'm going to say 6 months to disassociate from that identity, because it took me a while to realize my value wasn't tied to my title or paycheck.
Yeah. The good news for you, if you have this fear and you're feeling that you will become irrelevant, it probably does happen a little bit, because the second reason that people really struggle with this is that you don't prepare enough for the emotional transition that takes place. And, I look back now on my 38-year career, and I truly believe, because of the path that we're on, that was really 38 years of getting me ready for now. My entire identity has changed, and yours can too. But preparing for this emotional transition in life is difficult, and a lot of people fail at it. My dad failed at it. I know people that have left their career and the next day they die. You hear these stories all the time. It's so sad. So preparing for this huge emotional transition is really important. And again, we're going to give you 5 reasons why it's okay to retire now. But the third trap that people get caught up in is they spend too much time focusing on leaving their job versus focusing on where they're going. And that happens because you maybe had not figured out where you're going to go.
Well,
and we were a little jumbled up in that at first.
Absolutely. And you also just have to get yourself prepared for that. Where are you going to go? We did not do that. So we both left big careers, you as a business owner, me as a corporate citizen for all those years at a Fortune 200 financial service company. And, I just kept thinking, the clients I was leaving behind, the teams I was leaving behind, the projects I was leaving behind, everything for me was rear view mirror. I spent a lot of days, weeks, and months thinking about what I had done, not what I can do. So it took me a while to make that transition into the present and what can I do now? Who do I want to become now?
Right.
And that's a scary, big, scary question. And without any guidance or any path, it was really hard.
Well, here's the thing, and here's the problem. Companies, colleges, life coaches, they don't talk about this phase of life as something that's anything more than sit back, take it easy, and do nothing. That's the traditional model for retirement. And I'm telling you, it didn't work for us, and it's not going to work for you. Now, I know people leave comments on our YouTube channel where they say, I get up, I decide what I'm going to do that day, and it's fine. That's fine. If that really does work for you, that's great. But if you want to live these next 20 or 30 years and really just live it to the best of your ability, keep listening to us, watch our videos, and just adapt some of this stuff to your way of life.
It takes a lot to reflect on your life, right? So sometimes reflecting back is hard because you have to think through all the great moments, and that's what you tend to remember. And then you also have to remember all of the pitfalls and the things that didn't maybe go so well. And those are harder to conjure up. Sometimes they're harder to explore and grow and develop and move forward from to the here and now, which is a really important part of retirement, is being in the here and now.
So let's talk about 5 ways or 5 things to think about to reframe this whole idea of retirement so that you can retire today. Today is a great day to retire. So many people spend their whole career, think of it of an airplane, and they're just, through the turbulence and through the rough times and all of that. And I think, oh my God, another year I'm going to be able to land the plane and relax and take it easy. So you might be thinking that retirement is getting onto the landing strip safely. We're telling you it's actually the launch pad. This airplane has been flying for 38 years in my career. Maybe it landed for a little while.
To get fuel.
To get fuel, to paint the outside of the plane, to rebrand it, to rethink who I am. Then it's a launch pad. If you can start thinking of this phase of life, and I know it's not easy sometimes, but this is the beginning of what you were meant to be. I mean, I know that sounds a little maybe godly and philosophical, but it's true. If you look at it that way, you can really create for yourself the most amazing life.
Yeah, absolutely. The next change in perspective would be to think about your freedom. And I will tell you this, freedom will feel like emptiness at first. The first week you kind of feel like freedom. I can do what I want, when I want, with who I want, for as long as I want. And all of those are great things to do and feel until they're not. And freedom shouldn't feel like emptiness. It should really feel like possibility. But the only way it's going to feel like possibility is for you to stay focused on what you want to do with the next years and then actually start to get them done.
Right.
Because freedom, a blank calendar, is awesome. I mean, I remember I had an amazing assistant for all the years I was at Chubb, different ones throughout the years, but my last one, her name was Flor Fanschmidt. She was awesome. And I will tell you, she had every minute of my day booked every week. So that first Monday that Mark talked about, I remember looking at my calendar and there was nothing on it. And I thought, freedom. I can put whatever I want on my own calendar. Well, unfortunately for us, we spent quite a bit of time not putting anything on the calendar and wasting a lot of time. And that's when that freedom really felt like emptiness. So I challenge you to think about your freedom and what you're going to do with your time.
Okay, great. I like that. The third mindset shift that you want to think about is that in retirement, you don't necessarily have to stop growing or stop learning. You can actually accelerate your learning down new paths that you never even imagined existed, such as starting a YouTube channel. If you had asked us in 2018, where would we be in April of 2025? It would not be sitting in front of a camera doing our 330th video for Retirement Transformed. Right. But we spent a lot of time realizing that we couldn't be idle, that we couldn't stop learning. We're both big learners. So we started reading and journaling and writing and talking to people and realizing that this is an untapped area that needs us and other people to teach you how to live a more fulfilling retirement. And the only way to do that is to learn and to dig. And I mean, I don't know if you want to add to that.
The only thing that I would add is now is the time to either go back to or remain or accelerate curiosity. You know, am I good at tennis? You know, I'll be honest with you, Jody Rollins has never held a tennis racket ever once before in my life. Never put a tennis racket in my hand. It's something for me in 2025 coming up into the spring and summer that I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'd be pretty good at tennis. It's not anything I've ever tried. So I'm curious about different activities and hobbies. I'm curious about different religious endeavors.
Religious
endeavors?
Religious endeavors?
Is that what you said? Is that not a thing?
Sounds cool. I like it.
Religious endeavors.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. But I'm curious about art. I'm curious about concerts and music. So I would say in that bucket that you talked about, that retirement is more, not less. Be curious.
Yeah. So those are 3 mindset shifts. Let's go now through 5 actionable takeaways that you can have to help you fix this fear and realize it's okay to do this. The first thing is that retirement is going to give you the time and the space to rediscover who you are. And I'll go a step further by putting a comma on that, to rediscover who you were really meant to be, not who you are, who you were meant to be. And I think that's a fantastic outlook and model for this new retirement that we're trying to build for people, is rediscover who you were meant to be.
You know, it's funny, we coached a woman a couple of years ago who was retiring from a large bank in the Boston area, and she was not really sure what she wanted to do and where she wanted to go, and she had a great network of friends. She was a solo retiree, and I remember she said to me, my girlfriends and I decided we were going to try one new thing a week to discover kind of who we are now. And every week for 52 weeks, they discovered one new thing, whether it was a new trail to hike, whether it was a new sport to play, whether it was a new theater to go to, or a new restaurant, or a new play, or a new city, or a new national park. I mean, they just had lists and lists and lists. So in that category of it gives you the freedom to figure out who you are, put some structure around that. Try something new once a week for 52 weeks. And see if you get anywhere.
Well, the next thing segues really well with that. Retirement now, or this phase of life, we don't like using the word retirement, but this phase of life allows you to plan your day around the things that you want to do, that are important to you. And that first Monday when Flower wasn't in your life anymore and your calendar was wide open, we didn't plan well in the beginning. We're planning well now, and we get pushback about planning. But it's important for us to fill our days with things that we want to do. we tried getting up saying, let's just see what happens. But the beauty of this phase of life is no one else is telling you what you have to do. Right. No one else is filling your day. You fill it with the things that are important to you. And if the first year you just want to travel or you want to watch TV all day long because you missed movies and all that, that's fine. But don't think you should do that forever. That's going to be unhealthy.
Well, the one thing I was going to say is in that first week when Mark and I retired, we realized without having any structure or without any kind of things to do items, before we knew it, each morning it was like 11:30. Like, I don't know what happened between like 6 and 11:30,
right.
But we lost all that time. And if you think of one thing, if you get one thing out of this, just remember your greatest currency in retirement is time.
Right.
That is your greatest and scarcest currency. So you don't want to wake up each day and all of a sudden realize you lost half a day.
Right.
Right?
All right.
The next thing is really important to us. And in your retirement, in this reframing, really focus on yourself and your health and wellness.
Yep. I think that I did not focus on that at all during my career. I thought I did. I belonged to the gym. I'd go once or twice a week. I'd try a trainer, but if I didn't feel like going, I wouldn't go. Now it's core to who we are. We both go to the gym 4 or 5 days a week religiously, and we feel really bad when we skip it.
Right.
And we feel really great when we do it. So this phase of life is a great opportunity to work on your health. The fourth, what's so
Mark
funny?
used to go to the gym and I would see him there. We'd either have to go at the crack of dawn in the morning or late at night because of the kids and sports and school and all the things that you guys know. But I remember this one time vividly that the trainer was telling you, okay, Mark, now I want you to do, 10 burpees, 15 jumping jacks, and 12 pull-ups. And I remember looking over as the trainer was saying that to Mark. Mark goes, yeah, I don't want to do that. And you just didn't do it.
Well, he said, what do you mean you don't want to do it? I said, you know what? I'm not feeling it.
Like,
it was probably hungover and I didn't have the energy, but
now when we're at the gym, for example, here in Ocean City, New Jersey, and they're using these kettlebells to try to, do the workout, all of a sudden we're doing whatever they say.
Yeah, and
we are
maybe
trying
more.
So hard.
I'll do 11 burpees instead of 10. So it does give you a chance to work on your health and wellness. It's a great opportunity. Again, part of the Launchpad idea. This is where you can really get your health on track. Hey, we wanted to let you know about something really special and unique that's happening. We know you've been watching us on YouTube and we appreciate that. For the first time ever, and maybe the last time ever, Jody and I are running a live masterclass in September of this year, 2025, Retirement Reset, from drift to discovery.
Starts September 8th, and it'll go every Monday for 8 weeks. We'll go through our entire theory on retirement drift and work you through our 7 pillars that will help you eliminate the drift in your life.
There's a link below to a webinar that we did just this week explaining everything about it and showing you how you can sign up. We hope to see you in September. The fourth thing that this phase of life allows you to do is deepen relationships. Now, on one hand, I said that you leave this work family behind. Few of them may come, but we're now at the point where who are the people we want to hang out with? Family, friends, people we meet at the gym, people with a like mindset of ours. That's who we want to hang out with. And we deepen those relationships because we have time and they become really important part of our life.
And that's not to say you throw away all of your old relationships, but you do have to at this phase of life, again, with time being this scarce commodity, you do need to spend time with people who challenge you, who help you grow, who grow in the same direction as you do, and obviously enjoy the same values.
Yep. The fifth one, you've spent your entire career or your life up until now working on the hard things.
Right.
This is now just another hard thing. Retirement, this phase of life, it's sold to you that you save money, you do what you have to do, and then you just coast. And it's easy. It shouldn't be easy. Nothing in life, I think, really should be easy. Some things, I guess. But this phase of...
I don't want everything to be hard.
No. Learning to play golf's easy, right?
No, that's really hard for Jody.
So it's just, I guess my point is, it's just another hard thing.
Yeah.
It's not the end. It's the beginning of a great life, and it's going to be hard, and that's okay. But that's not a reason not to retire. Embrace it and just do some of the things that we're doing for yourself that fit in your life. You don't have to do everything like us. We're sharing with you what we do, what works, what we know is having an impact on our life, our health, our wellness, our relationships with our kids and each other, you know.
Yeah, it's almost unfair, right? So all of these life transitions that we've all gone through, typically there's resources, coaches, mentors, processes, tests, whatever it is. You know, I use the example, you know, from high school to college, right? So when I think about our kids that went from high school to college, there was testing processes to figure out where you were. There was coaching and mentoring and tutoring that went on. There was college selection, and you'd walk around colleges and do a tour and get a feel. And is this where I fit? Retirement doesn't have any of those, right?
No.
There's no, let me go walk around a community and feel if I fit in. Let me go take a test to see if I qualify. Like, there's none of that. So it is a hard transition, but you can do it. You can definitely do it.
So leave a comment below for us. What is your biggest fear about retirement? So that others can see what you might be struggling with, because you'd be surprised. A lot of people do struggle with this phase of life, and it's good to know we're not doing it alone. There's a lot more information on this next video to help you, again, grow in this time of life and get over the fear. And it's the top retirement questions to know to build your best retirement ever. So watch this one next.